Hi there. I wasn't expecting to do another chat so soon, but I was speaking to a very good friend of mine in New York who's rather in the loop with the New York City Ballet and the board, and I'm not going to say if it's a man or a woman because I don't want to get them in trouble, so I'll just use they. And they told me something last night that was kind of upsetting, and even though I may be repeating a few things here, I think it's worth repeating, and I'm hoping that some board members are watching this and dancers in the company too, because I want to speak directly to them, to you. Okay, what makes a great ballet company? Because after all, what a board is supporting is a product, and it's being sold to the public. People are paying money, coming in to sit and watch something that they can't see on TV or at a movie theater, etc. And Balanchine always used to impress that upon us, that we were entertainers. He'd say, you know, dear, you're entertainers. People pay something to see you. They could go to movie, they could go to dinner, but no, they go see you. So there's an obligation all the way from the dancers, stagehands, support staff, orchestra, and to the board to deliver a good product. You're expecting people to pay for it. So, as far as a dance company or a ballet company goes, what's a good one? What means a great company? Well, in my opinion, it's a combination of repertory and performer. Dancers and ballets. My opinion is the New York City Ballet has both. You can have really great dancers dancing mediocre work, and that's not a great company. Or you can have great work danced by mediocre dancers, and that doesn't total a great company. But if you have great work, great repertory, and you have really great dancers, then that combination equals a great company. Now, the New York City Ballet, of course, was founded for the genius of Balanchine to give him a platform to create the masterpieces that the company is still living off of. And what I heard last night, kind of bothered me, because my source told me that there's been a faction in the company. A few dancers have spoken publicly that they are tired of hearing about Balanchine, that the company should move on, and they just got sick and tired of hearing Mr. B wanted this and Mr. B wanted that, etc. And to be fair, most of these dancers came into the company the last year of his life when he really wasn't around, or right after he died. And of course there was a huge hole when Balanchine died. I mean, he was everything to everybody, and there was a kind of a bitterness that he left them. It's like a family. Because I was back in New York visiting, and I was back right before he died, and I could tell there was a kind of negative reaction, as if, how dare he leave us? So there was, a few dancers that were like angry with him that he left. And, of course, that all came from loss and sadness, and I understood why, but I heard a little grumbling about that. And then there was also some of the new dancers that came in. When you talk about Balanchine a lot, they felt they missed something, and they're kind of angry that they don't want to hear about it. We missed the golden period. We don't want to hear about it. We don't want to hear. And back when I was teaching for the company, a couple years after he died, I was staying with Damien Wetzel, who was my dancer from Los Angeles before he came to New York, my student, and then I put him in the company. And Damien loved it that I was teaching for the company, and so did I. I loved being back there. It was home. But Damien warned me. He said, "John, you speak about Balanchine too much." And I went, how could I be speaking about him too much? And Damien, who's a very, very bright man, president of Juilliard now, my God. But Damien said, John, a lot of the dancers feel it's kind of like he's a ghost, and they missed out. And I remember saying, I said, well, I consider him a guardian angel, not a ghost. I mean, his spirit should be kept alive, practically speaking, because the company is still doing Balanchine's ballets. So how blessed are they, quite frankly, that they have this huge repository of the best ballets of the 20th century, really. the most variety, that's for sure. Even Ashton and Macmillan and Fokine, nobody did as many ballets as Balanchine #1, and with such a broad variety of styles. I mean, it's a gold mine. From Prodigal Son to Apollo to Aegon, I mean, Stars and Stripes to Vienna Waltzes, who cares? It's a gold mine. So to hear what I heard last night, that still some of the dancers, and have said it publicly, that, Balanchine's old-fashioned. Well, until another Balanchine comes along, I think it's insane not to keep that repertory in top shape. Do what they're starting to do, but on a bigger basis. Bring in us old-timers that know what Mr. B told us directly, so the new dancers don't have to hear it second and third and fourth hand. That's the traditional way ballets are passed down. I'm not asking for people to dance for a ghost. Nobody wants to dance for a ghost. But you have in the company now, you have such great dancers, and I mean that. Sarah Mearns is like Suzanne Farrell in her abandonment and her attack and her fearlessness. I always think of Kay Meza when I see Sterling Hilton. She just has that same delicacy. Tyler Peck, my God, she's like the supreme technician of the world right now, a combination of Patty McBride, and she has a little bit of Violette in her, and the technique of Meryl Ashley and Gelsey Kirkland combined. And Teresa Reichland, a tall, elegant goddess. Megan Crone, who's a very authoritative, wonderful attack like Rebecca Crone. I'm just throwing people that I worked with a little bit. Lauren King has a lot of potential, at least when I worked with her a few years ago. And then I'm sure I'm forgetting people. Georgina is fantastic. Again, completely different dancer. All these dancers, are great. So I think it's only fair to give them the great repertory that the company currently has and not shy away from it. Now look, I know that Justin Peck is very talented, very popular, and Rod Monsky, of course, and Wielden, but they're not Balanchine. Maybe Peck will develop into a Balanchine, but right now they haven't. I at least have not seen the variety that Balanchine has developed or had in the repertory. So since you have it there, and you have a very good contract and arrangement with the Balanchine Trust, I just don't understand why people would think, let's move on, or let's not talk about Balanchine, or let's not, I don't even want to use the word respect him. But another thing too is that from what I was told, I believe, that the ticket sales are still the best for an all Balanchine program. Well, that's because the audiences recognize entertainment, and Balanchine used music that was accessible. Yes, he would throw in a Port Superior once in a while to shake things up, but generally speaking, Gershwin, the Western songs that he used for a Western Symphony, the country songs, John Philip Sousa for Stars and Stripes, Slaughter and 10th Avenue, he would always throw in really happy, accessible ballets. And he had such wonderful taste in music that you could go there and just close your eyes, as he said, and listen to the wonderful orchestra, which is still great, and listen to the wonderful music like you're going to a concert. So he really met the audience. He developed the audience, and he challenged them with ballets like, Four Temperaments originally, and then episodes by Webern. He developed and educated an audience. And that's asking too much, I think, from any mere mortal, any of us today. But one of the things he also did, which is very important, is he knew the power of the box office. So he would do the 3-act ballets occasionally. New ones, his versions, because he knew that those 3-act ballets are what brought in the big public. And they still do, from what I understand, for the company, New York City Ballet. They still, the Swan Lake and Sleeping Beauty, even though, in my opinion, the productions, the versions of them aren't the best, but the dancers are fine, it's just the versions. But those titles bring in an audience. So not that you want to become ABT and just recycle all the old war horses, but whoever the new choreographers are brought in, they should be thinking in terms of maybe creating a story ballet, a 3-act story ballet, which is, one of the things I've been working on with my CASABLANCA and other stuff. And I'm going to include at the end of this another different clip of a Casablanca promo that was put together by the Australian presenter. Because when I was developing my company, and also using Casablanca if I do a new company, that's what's going to bring the audiences in, are the name. Hi, sorry I got cut off. I was talking about the big 3-act ballets. Not that New York City Ballet should turn into an ABT and do those, but I think it's a smart idea to start looking around for new subject matter for story ballets. It can't hurt. You've got the dancers, certainly they could do anything you ask them to. I think it was very clever of Peter, for instance, to put in La Sylphide, which sells, and his Romeo and Juliet, which sells, and the Sleeping Beauty, which sells, and the Swan Lake. And from what I understand, all of those sell very, very well. I'm not especially thrilled by his versions of those big classics, but he was clever to put them in. But one of the things I've been working on, like with the Casablanca, which you'll see a clip of finding fresh material that could be used as full-length ballets. I'm not a Balanchine. I'm not able to reinvent the art form like he was. But it doesn't matter because you have his repertory. So until another Balanchine comes along, if ever, you really can recycle his ballets quite well. The dancers are always challenged by them. And when they're danced well, the audiences are too. And as far as your dancers, I really should also mention Maria Kowalski, like the most incredible physique of any. Sorry, I had to change cameras. I was speaking about Maria Kowalski's physique. I mean, it really is like one of the most amazing physiques in all of classical ballet. I mean, the length of her legs, etc., and her extensions. I mean, she's glorious. And then, of course, Danny Ulbrecht is a powerhouse. I'm not as familiar with most of the new boys except for Roman Mejia, who clearly is made for the Villela repertory. I mean, he's young and spectacular and perfect for Prodigal Son. So the company is just oozing with talent. It always has been. I mean, even no matter what critics have said, I've been watching the company very steadily over the years. And you've Margaret Tracy. I mean, you've always had some incredible dancers there. So I'm just going to finish up by saying that I really, really pray, I am begging the board to think very carefully. It's kind of defeating yourself to think too much about moving beyond Balanchine. Yes, of course, Justin Peck is great and he's talented and he's going to get even better, I'm sure. But right now, your gold in hand, your crown jewels, the diamonds that you have, are the Balanchine ballets, and they have been diminished over the years. People are now talking about it. They didn't want to before while Peter was there, but it's clear, that people have noticed it. The lighting, the costumes now. It's could be very dangerous if whoever the new director is doesn't really understand how important it is to continue the Balanchine repertory at its optimum. It has to be done correctly. And just for the dancers, I'm sorry that some of you have felt that when some of my generation has come in to coach you or correct you, and maybe somebody was a bit harsh or something, I don't know, but nobody wants you to dance like anybody else. You dance like yourself. It's possible to dance totally free and totally open and still be doing the correct steps, the correct musicality, and the intent that Balanchine had. Like, I brought Melissa Hayden and Violette Verdi, who now unfortunately are gone. They could really have helped you guys a lot, but I brought them to LA regularly, and they would rehearse my dancers, and especially Melissa was quite demanding but she was able to get a lot of wonderful feelings out of the girls, and telling how Balanchine told her he wanted, and same thing with Violette, and it can be a really joyful experience learning from past ballerinas. And again, no one's saying you have to copy them, but you can learn a lot, and it can be a lot of fun, and then you interpret it and it becomes your own ballet. And that's traditionally the way it's passed on. And same thing for the guys, and you can learn it. I don't know all the new male dancers. I'm sorry what the company has gone through with the 3 bad boys of ballet, I guess you'd call them. That was very, very, very unprofessional behavior, and things like that should never happen again. And hopefully it will never happen again, because now if there's even an inkling of that kind of nonsense, that'll go straight to the management and it'll be stopped immediately. But I doubt things like that will happen again. It's past. That's over, and now the company has to look forward to a bright, brilliant new future. And I just hope that whoever the new director is, that they respect Balanchine, they respect tradition, they understand that it's also, again, like I was saying, it's the most practical thing to continue the Balanchine repertoire correctly. It's still big box office. It's still the joy of the world. And I'll close now with a little bit of my Casablanca, because I just wanted to show that there is a way to do new ballets that will bring in a crowd, the box office clearly, on subject matter that is not trite or hackneyed, and doesn't mean you have to redo Giselle or Don Q, you know. But you can do big classical ballets based on completely new subject matter. I mean, back in the 60s, Kenneth Macmillan did that for the Royal Ballet with all of his big Romeo and Juliet, Meyerling, and you know, whatever, and Kranko was doing that with his ballets. But so I think it would be a smart idea for whoever the new director is and the board to also think in terms of that, to every now and then think in terms of whether if Justin wants to do it or not, or if another choreographer, but to think in terms of maybe once in a while doing a you know, it could be modern, but doing a ballet, story ballet. Certainly story ballets are great for bringing in children, and you know, you want to keep the box office. It's part of the business. Anyway, so I wish everybody well. I hope the ballerinas there understand that I'm not criticizing them as artists, certainly not. I just don't think it's bad to be inspired by an older generation and then do what you want, but at least, you know, learn what Balanchine himself wanted. And again, the board, you have a big responsibility. I know you didn't sign up for this, but really please, again, I'm begging, think clearly, think what is the most important thing, and it's to have a great repertory and have great performers. And you have both, but the jewel is the Balanchine repertory. And that I'm a bit concerned about. And I was very concerned when my friend said that, you know, some of the dancers, not very many, but a couple of the dancers and maybe some of the board thought, well, maybe we should move on from Balanchine. Yeah, you'll do that, but enjoy what you got. I mean, it's better than any place else. All right, take care, everybody. Signing off, and here's a little bit of Casablanca.
Warner Brothers brings the magic of one of the greatest films of all time to the stage. Casablanca, the dance.
You must remember this. A kiss is just a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh.
beautiful friendship.